And my roommate was my brother, Edgar Bennett. I like it a little bit warmer. He likes it a little bit colder. So every hour he would get up and put it down to like 64. I get up 77. He wake up 63. I get up 80. He calls down. Hey, can y'all get somebody to come fix the thermostat? It just be going back up to 80. And the lady say, sir, you're too late. Your roommate already called, says too cold. It's him messing with it.
Shut up and sit down.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, and North Star Mohican Casino Resort.
What is up, Wisconsin? From the Inside Wisconsin studios, my name is Trevor Thomas, sporting the Packers baseball jersey, the one and only John Anderson. J.A., we had a hell of a weekend here in Wisconsin, man.
What's up, Wisconsin?
What is up, Wisconsin?
What isn't up in Wisconsin right now, man? I try to stay away from ultimate superlatives. This is the best thing ever because I wasn't around forever, right? And who knows? Like, if there's not a glacier that comes through and makes Lake Michigan and, so I need to go back, because that's one of the great things ever. But in terms of maybe the greatest and I've been alive for in 56 years, that Sunday we had with the Ryder Cup and the Brewers clinching and the Packers just finishing it off with a little CPR finish because, why win easy if you can make people go through, pulmonary resuscitation, let's do it. But that topping it off with the Mason thing, my goodness me. I tell you what, that's more than any state has the right to choose. Look at you. You've been to you went to the merchandise tent. 40-95 for that little baby. Love it.
At least. Yeah. So I definitely,
I don't know.
I picked up a USA hat. I was there for the Ryder Cup on Saturday. This is the one that they wore, so I had to buy that. I got suckered into this. The Ryder Cup championship hat.
Good. Yep. Love it.
So weird to see 2020 on everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then you'll love this. It's a little kickball, Johnny, and it's in the shape of a cheese ball with the Ryder Cup logo and Whistling Straits. It looks like a little ball of cheese.
Hold it up again. You know what it looks like? Yeah, it looks like the moon. If the moon
made out of cheese.
If that was gray, right? It looked like you got the little, Sea of Tranquility and the pock marks and the whole thing. I'm just saying, if the moon was made of cheese, would you eat it? Why? Come on, Stoney.
Ugh.
Whatever. But that's so what are you going to use for? What is that? You're going to use that for what exactly?
I'm probably going to put it on the set behind me and just, little Whistling
Otherwise,
action.
I have that cluttering the house and your wife just saying, why is this here under my feet all the time?
I do have two little boys and they will play with this until it's flat.
Yeah,
so I would like to.
That needs to go in the yard, not behind you.
Fair. Hey, speaking of a weekend, right? Okay, so we talked about the Packers a little bit with this heart attack thing last night. The Ryder Cup, man, I don't know if you've been. I'm certain that you've been to some golfing events over the years, but this Ryder Cup thing was unbelievable. It was
crazy, right?
Have you been to a Ryder Cup?
Haven't been to a Ryder Cup, even though we've had them. But I've watched them for way longer than these other guys that ever played in them. By the way, I think that's part of the reason that these guys went out and just dump truck the Europeans is I think most of those guys grew up watching the U.S. get hammered. And I say that's always funny because I always think it's the Ryder Cup, right? It's America's best against Europe's best, but really they all live in Orlando.
I was going to say it's a bunch of Florida dudes.
Or Jupiter, right? It's a bunch of guys that could have, it's like watching the Tavistock Cup or whatever they used to have down there. And listen, tip of the cap for the Europeans when they came out on, was it Wednesday with the Packer gear?
They tried.
Brilliant move. So now we don't have to be mad. Like we can embrace these guys. Like outside of the 19-9, I'm not sure there's a better moment than when those guys came out and were like, here we are. We can play ball with y'all.
I don't know. I think, was it Daniel Berger? Is his name Daniel Berger?
Yeah.
And Justin Thomas, they slammed beers on number one before the afternoon four ball. That was up there too.
Yeah. Right. But you know what? I can do that on a golf course. I can't hit it like they can, but I thought that was such a wonderful, awesome moment.
Yeah.
I think some of that's a credit to Strick, that I think all the European guys, because they play over here enough, and that they know him, they like him like everybody else does. I'm not sure if Tom Watson's the captain that happens.
True.
But I think if Steve Stricker is the captain, it does. I do tell people this, since this is inside Wisconsin.
True.
While it's a wonderful golf course, I always tell people that's not what our coastline looks like. Our coastline is rocky and rugged, and there are no beaches on that. Like Michigan got that when the glacier came through, right? It dumped all the sand over there. We got here, glacier, stop, melt, you get all the rocks. If you ever get to go down in Kohler and play, I prefer the river course, because I think that's what, and maybe I've said this before, that's what Wisconsin looks like. You go in there on the Sheboygan River in the woods, and like you could go play a round of golf, or if you knew somebody, right, you could go in a duck blind, or you could go in a tree stand. You could do about anything you want to do that defines Wisconsin on the river course property.
And DJ had a vodka tonic on the 18th green when he was done. Like you said, they got after it right away. Hey, speaking of
how
vodka,
they didn't do old fashions, I don't know, but they should have.
Look at this. Oh, that was a miss, right? They should have had old fashions.
I don't know that they're that experienced in Wisconsin yet.
Our guy today, our guest on Inside Wisconsin today, has his own little vodka. Check this out. I'm holding a bottle, a big bottle. They sell 2 sizes of this at Festival Foods, by the way. I went to see our friends over there at Festival.
Yeah.
Anyway, this stuff's good. You and LeRoy Butler go back a minute. Tell us about that.
We go back a little bit when he used to work here at ESPN. I always tell people, and because I'm from Green Bay and he's a Packer, that means I have to go introduce myself, right? I just wanted to say hi and welcome, and then I thanked him because Brett gets huge props, as he should. Mm-hmm. Reggie gets huge shot, as he should, because not only was great, but the fact that he came to Green Bay was significant, right? When he could have gone anywhere. Sure. But LeRoy was drafted, was here, and he had 2 really rough seasons, I think, at least 1, maybe 2. But he was here, and he was in charge of that defense every bit as much as of Reggie White. I mean, Reggie was there, just go tackle people and sack them. LeRoy was in charge of, the entire secondary and the whole, even the level in front of him. And so we just struck up a friendship from there. Every week said hello, this, that, and the other thing. And lo and behold, when he got inducted into the Packer Hall of Fame, he called and said, hey, do you have any interest in presenting me to the Hall of Fame, which was just a staggeringly shocking request. I surrendered on the spot, of course, and came home and did that. And it's really, I've had a lot of great things that have happened with my time at ESPN, and I'm really thankful for. But that one was really unique, obviously, because 1265 is pretty close to home, Yeah. But so that was really kind of fun and really neat. And then, get home, my folks were still there. They were able to come see it. And some of my old high school buddies showed up, and LeRoy was there. And gosh, his sweet little girls at the time were so awesome to see his dad. And then he went in with Robert Brooks, of all people, right? Well, that makes sense, right? You got to have both of them with the Leap. So that's kind of just where it is. And we've stayed in contact, and that's how I know LeRoy, because like everybody else, there's a Packer. I'm from Green Bay. I should go say hi to that person, right? That's like an obligation.
You know him, and he knows us. He calls Wisconsin home as we stand here today. Excited to have him, Green Bay Packer legend LeRoy Butler on Inside Wisconsin.
Shut up and sit down.
And here he is, there he is, the one, the only LeRoy Butler. LeRoy, thanks for jumping on with us on Inside Wisconsin.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on with you, Trevor and John. You guys, actually had John on our show. So we've been promoting this. This is a great platform. Why won't you share it with the other millions of people?
We're starting, man. We're getting it out there.
That's the goal.
Is a good show.
We're like you. We're building the brand slowly, little by little.
You're right. Okay, I got you.
Dude, you're more popular 20 years after you retired than when you played, and you were really popular then. Just explain sort of the longevity of how you have decided to make. We'll get to the football stuff in a minute, but how you decided to take. I've retired in 2001. I got a lot of life ahead of me, and I got the cliche. I've got the cloud of the cachet of being a Packer. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a place in Wisconsin, but I am a Florida guy. I need you to figure out how these all combine to go LeRoy Butler, Wisconsinite.
Yeah, that's a good question, John, because I think a lot of people, they don't get it because you're from Jacksonville and everybody wants to be in Florida, but not everybody. And the weather's cold in Wisconsin, so which is it? And I remember having a conversation with my mom. Actually, she passed away about almost 5 years ago, and she was talking to me about loyalty and don't forget where you come from, and just the overall brand of things. And Coach Bobby Bowden, rest in peace to him. I remember him saying that you represent the team on the front of your jersey, but on the back of your jersey, you represent your family. So it was easy for me to take 2 or 3 pay cuts to stay with the Packers because I always thought the fan base was the best fan base. They really support you in anything you do. So it was easy for me to make that transition. And you're still the same person. You're just not playing games. But this is the best fan base to retire. I mean, they really support everything you do. I mean, they really do. And I really appreciate that. So it was an easy decision for me to basically just move up in Wisconsin. So I think I made a great decision.
The fans make you feel at home, and now this is home to you, LeRoy. You've been in Wisconsin since you played with the Packers. I mean, talk a little bit more in depth about what it is about Wisconsin. From the cookbooks to the dairy farmers of Wisconsin to Wisconsin cheese. I mean, you got your hands in all of it. And we couldn't be more grateful that you chose to call this place home. So what is it about us?
It's just the people. I mean, and me, you, and John were talking off air earlier. They just say, hi, how's it going? Tell you a favorite Packer story, and they're gone.
There are certain guys that find that in Green Bay and in Wisconsin to be suffocating sometimes.
Yes.
How is it that you found that to be a positive? Or to guys that said that to you, like, LeRoy, man, I can't go to the grocery store without these people suggesting what cheese I should get or suggesting, what beverage So how did you turn that or suggest to guys like that actually can be a positive? It doesn't have to be burdensome.
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because I think a lot of my former players, they do ask, like, don't you want some privacy? I'm like, well, you got to be fair. If you want to market to the people, then you got to be available for the people. I think it's lame to be a famous person, but you can't give a guy 10 seconds to tell you his famous ice bowl story. I have people in church, and they're like tell 3 people behind the rows, can you pass the word, tell LeRoy I love, the Lambeau Leap. And it's like, the pastor's preaching. It's like, yes, this guy wants to say, can you turn around and acknowledge him? Okay, hi, Bob. You was at the first Lambeau Leap, and it's over. But if I ignore him, it keeps going every Sunday. Every Sunday. Because in his head, he wants to let me know that he was at the first game for the Leap. So I just understand it's like a partnership. And it's a different partner every day.
You were at the first Lambeau Leap game. Raise your hand if anybody else was. Oh,
I was
okay.
10. I was 10.
That's not an excuse, Trevor.
I was cold. All I remember.
It was kids out there with babies.
I was not as cold as Nick Bell, but I was cold.
Because that was 1993. I really didn't know. When I got to the stadium, I'm dead serious. I thought they were going to forfeit the game because it was really cold. But I never heard of wind chill. John, I know you know about wind chill. I'm sure, Trevor. I'm from Florida. They said the wind chill maybe 16 below, blah, blah, blah. I said, but these guys are from California. So it'll be a very interesting game.
All right, so take us back to that. I mean, that's almost, not trying to age anybody, almost 30 years ago already.
Yes.
Did you ever think that a little 25-yard scamper for a touchdown after Reggie pitched it to you would turn into this, I mean, a worldwide phenomenon in the Lambeau Leap? What does it mean to you?
Not in my wildest dreams. I'm dead serious. It just, because I'm a defensive back. I mean, and I remember Holmgren saying, whatever happens, if one of you guys get a fumble, interception, don't lateral the ball. Okay? You just run and fall because one of you guys are fumbling because your hands are not real good. fine. When I called the phone, I saw Reggie White, and I think he's with Steve Wisniewski, and he was about to fall. I said to myself, Self, he's going to pitch this ball. And if I wouldn't be, I just felt like he was going to do it. As I'm going over there, I get the ball, and I'm so excited. I'm running down the sideline, and then the fans are like wondering, like, what's going on? Why isn't he stopping? And I remember jumping up there and throwing the ball down and jumping up there, and the guy had a beer in his hand. He wasted beer, and they were so excited. And I just remember saying to him, Holmgren said not to do this. So when I ran to the bench, he came over to me. I was like, uh-oh. He's going to like yell at it. He said, never do that again. You're going to get fined. And I just said, that's one of the coolest things is because it has to do with the fans. You need the fans. And then a couple years later, Robert Brooks did a song about it and wrote called Jump in the Stands. He made it really famous. It blew up and everybody was talking about it. And it was just, now they still do it years later. And it wasn't to show up the Raiders. It was just, a celebration with your fans, really to hug the people with the crappiest seats, really. Everybody wants to be on the 50-yard line, but no one wants to be in the end zone. But now,
everybody,
yeah,
that's where it's at.
They go down. But tell me this, okay? Because I don't. Here's what I'm gonna push back on one little part of the story. I can see you getting yelled at. I can see anybody on defense getting yelled. I can't see anybody yelling at Reggie White for lateral. Like, sometimes I feel like Reggie would have been immune. Like he didn't get yelled at like you got yelled at for that, right? There's no way anybody yells at Reggie.
He didn't go to Reggie. He came right to me. I'm like, I should have said that. Hey, he lateral it. Hey, but hey, it's okay. So yeah, that's a good point.
But as you watch this now, guys come in, and it has become. It's like this rite of passage for guys. I liken it to people at our place when people just thought I shammied Chris Berman's car until I was in a SportsCenter commercial. And they're like, oh, you really work there. Like if you're an offensive player there, like you're not really a Packer until you've scored and been in the stands. And that to me, 30 years later is perhaps the most remarkable thing of all.
Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met, John. Your dad was platinum to me. I love him. Because you have to know what's the fabric of the people who were around when he was a young man and what they thought about the fans owning the team and all the way back to 1919. And when you hear all that, you get goosebumps. And you just think about, I remember a young man came to me and said, my favorite player was Donald Driver. I got these tickets, and it's a long line, but he got to tell me a story. He was Donald Driver, and I get back to my seat, and I have my nachos and my beer, and I got my wife's beer in my mouth. I'm like, that's nasty, but okay, because he got all this stuff, right. And he got to go get the food. And as soon as he sits down, Driver comes through the leap right in his lap, and everything goes flying. He said that was the best day of his life because he's thinking, what are the odds is Donald Driver, my favorite Packer, is going to do the Lambeau Leap where I'm sitting in the end zone. He could pick anybody, but as soon as he sits down with all this stuff and it just goes flying, and he got a chance to be on TV because he was up there, patting Driver on the shoulder pad. That means a lot to people, and it's amazing.
That guy's, by the way, real quick, there's no way that guy's ever washed that shirt or that jacket or that hat. Like he is so proud of those stains. That dude will, always, that thing just hangs proudly and will never see a stain stick or a shout out, nothing.
No question.
Is there any point where we go, here's LeRoy Butler, Lambeau Leap, and we go, but he also, 4 times first team All-Pro. He won a Super Bowl. I think eventually Canton in the Hall of Fame's coming. And some of that gets drowned out. That we forget how great a player you were because we think Lambeau Leap first and all those actual really tangible, really important things come second.
I'm going to tell you what somebody told me, my mom, and she was brilliant. You play the hits. You do, hey, whatever the fans want to hear, I'll play it again. Because you can't lose.
Sure.
Oh, I just wrote this song 3 in the morning. I want y'all to hear it. They're like, dude, but can you sing the one that we really like? Okay. I'll put that on the back burner. I don't mind it.
Your mom must have spoken to Chris Berman, because every once in a while I go, boom. Do we need the old school references? And he'll literally go, hey, when people see the Eagles, they want to hear Hotel California. I play
That's right. That's right.
That's right. So he's right there. Trevor, what are you tired of me talking again? Have I driven you to drink? What's going on?
No, I just, the word Leap means different things to different people. This giant bottle of Leap vodka means something special to me. We're going to talk about that more in a bit. Back with LeRoy Butler on Inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, and North Star Mohican Casino Resort.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
We are back inside Wisconsin between segments with our man, LeRoy Butler, Trevor Thomas, John Anderson. J.A., we put a graphic out in between episodes here last week that talked about the one moment in Wisconsin sports history that you will never forget. I'm curious, can you name or pick just one moment in your lifetime that you will never forget?
There is a wealth of candidates. But as like everything, I tend to go back to my youth because those are the most impactful things to me. Those are the ones that just stay with me. Those are the ones I remember the clearest. So I'm going to go 1982 American League Championship Series, Game 5, 2 outs in the 7th. Here's Cecil Cooper, 2-run. We get to go to the World Series. That to me, they were down 0-2. They finally get there and like, oh, and it looked so terrible. The Angels had throttled us, and people forget that was a good Angels team between Reggie and Fred Lynn and Rod Carew. Like, they were beasts. Yeah. But then you go and you look at the Brewers lineup and go, wait, so are we. It's just we weren't kind of used to that. But yeah, when he hit that single and it gets through and it gets down, and I can just still see him running down the first. That to me is it could have been the World Series. We didn't quite get there in Game 7. So that one, look, that's another one. You know how I always get goosebumps. So there's another goosebump just talking about it. That. Yeah. That's so the Cooper hit in Game 5 of the ALCS in 82 is probably one of them that is just that one. That's fantastic. That, right? Hey, like that's great. I could use one more of those. I would like to have that. Go ahead. Win it this year. I'm happy to replace that memory.
Please.
But right now, that's the one.
That was awesome. And I think my moment, I've shared it with you guys before. There was that time back in 2018. It was the NLCS. And Brandon Woodruff hit a bomb off of Clayton Kershaw. Mm-hmm. And I literally thought the place was going to explode from the inside out. Like, it was the loudest sports moment. I know LeRoy has an opinion on this whole Brewers World Series thing, too. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Back to LeRoy Butler on Inside Wisconsin.
Shut up and sit down.
Back here with LeRoy Butler, 4-time Pro Bowl. Let's go with it. Super Bowl champion. I don't think there's a better title for anybody in there. And in full disclosure, Trevor, you haven't been to my parents' house. Like everybody, though, we have a Packer room, right? It's 3 candles and a picture of the Virgin Mary from being a shrine to LeRoy Butler in our basement. It's that close.
I love your family.
There's pictures of the introduction into the Packer Hall of Fame when that happened that I was fortunate of, and I'm not sure I can ever properly thank you and repay you for allowing me to present you that night, which was such a wonderful and well-deserved night. And
good.
Yeah, and I have no doubt. Is it hard waiting? Because like I said, I think the Canton call is coming. The numbers are all there, the championships, but there's sort of a pecking order that, okay, I get you feel like you're either a Hall of Famer or you're not, but we just can't put everybody in on the same day. We've got to have the ceremony next year too. Is that important to you? How much would you like to have that on the resume?
The reason why it's important, yes, it is important. It's important because of my story. My story, African-American, from the inner city in special needs class, special education. My teachers were my real heroes. My mom bringing up 5 kids by herself, had 3 jobs, caught 2 buses, just a carpool. And to play in high school as a first All-American in my school history. Going to Florida State University, and Coach Bobby Bowden only has one home visit, and he chose me to come to the projects to tell my mom that he's going to give me a scholarship. Although I was a Prop 48, that meant I didn't pass the SAT test, didn't get a high enough score. Going to the most storied franchise. Oh yeah, it's important because I want people to know that a Hall of Famer is still supposed to be a normal guy. Everything we've talked about won't change. And I think I would be one of the few Hall of Famers once I make it that's still going to schools, live in Oak Creek, and I just want to show kids that it's attainable. Yeah, I just saw him at the gas station. He was pumping his own gas. I mean, yes, that's what we do. We pump gas. So in football wise, it's important because I think in the 90s, people thought maybe we only had a few, just Reggie White, Brett Favre, Ron Wolf, and that was it. But you still had one more guy, and I was a first team all decade. I really thought that would be something that had made you a finalist long time ago, but it wasn't. So, and I'm thinking, okay, now that Drew Pearson went in, now the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, I'm the only first team all decade member that's not in. So, and me and my mom always talked about it, and she was like, well, last in, you get the more money, last in, first out, that thing. But, and I know the frustration of guys wanting to get in, John, but I'll say this. My mom say, listen, you gotta be excited because there's a lot of guys will never be in your position that think they should. So I just embrace it. But last year was different though. Because when you get the phone call that you didn't make it, you kind of just like the first year, okay, first time I find it's pretty exciting. We're in Miami. They call you up. Okay, Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker goes, well, LeRoy, unfortunately, then I knew. I say, yes, sir. I'll see you next year. It's all good. I don't need all this speech. I get it tough for you. The following year, we're in the pandemic. Well, we're still in the pandemic. But that phone call was different. It was like, unfortunately. So I knew. He said, but wait. You made the final 10. I said, oh. That's kind of a game changer because that means you're really close. And that means on some people's ballot, you probably made their final 5 in the ballot. And then, but John Lynch was a finalist.
You're a better player than John Lynch. I can't hold back. You're a better player than John Lynch.
Well, he was a finalist for 8 years. And they're like, we got to get him in. We got to get Atwater in. And then we got this. And then, because Rondé Barber, who I think put up big numbers, his people are like, well, you got to wait till LeRoy Butler gets in. But as long as they talk about safeties, which they haven't for a while, John, as you know, I think I'll be in there. But the next time we do this interview, because it will be a part 2, because we don't have enough time to cover everything, then I want your kids to say, not only that I knew LeRoy Butler a long time ago, I can actually see the jacket and touch it and feel it and put it on. That's important to me for kids to know that.
So we've talked a ton of football. We've got some other interests. First, hit me with the anti-bullying thing. Why that's
it's very important, Trevor and John, because I was bullied my whole life because of poverty, my skin color, having a single parent, having club feet, being in a wheelchair, you name it, everything. But my grandmother, who was also brilliant, she told me about putting these blinders on and that life is like a game. When you go to these games, they have a cardboard up or a poster and they write mean stuff. You don't go in the stands and fight them. You beat them by not giving away your power, by being affected by it. So when I started Butler versus Bullying, when kids hear that I got bullied, they just like, really? I said, listen, I wasn't an All-American all my life. I mean, I had holes in my shoes. I had holes in my jeans. Now my daughters buy jeans for $200 with holes in the jeans. I don't get it. But I also, it's 2 things that kind of we branded off of that. One was make it obsolete by delete. If you're in a group text or social media, if it's not true, just delete it. And then we also, this is most important. It's a fine line between bullying and just having fun. My uncle, for example, is a Bears fan. I send him some rough texts, okay? And he sent me some. Listen, when Aaron Rodgers didn't know if he wanted to play or not the whole offseason for 6 months, he been sending me some bad emojis. That's just fun. But if you're trying to hurt somebody so you can to better yourself, then that's when the bullying thing is. And I've been doing it now for about 4 or 5 years. I speak to maybe 35 schools a year. It did not stop in the pandemic. We did it on the classes was like online. We did it through Google Meet. I mean, Zoom, StreamYard. Because the teachers were like looking for online curriculum anyway. Tough word. So we still did it. So I'm just so proud of that. And Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shields of Milwaukee, they were my partner in this. They said, we like this. We understand it's your story, and we're going to keep sponsoring as long as you want to do it. And I just teach kids to be leaders, not followers. But if you're going to follow, choose the right leaders, and they're the teachers.
Man, I relate to that, LeRoy. I grew up bullied too, man. I was the tallest yet most unathletic. I had the glasses, the bowl cut, the whole 9 yards, man. You're doing God's work. I'm grateful for that.
And look at you on the best podcast in America. Isn't that great?
We'll take Wisconsin anyway. Hey, so I love that you keep talking about stories. It's all about people's stories. And that's literally what we're trying to do with this is give you guys the platform to tell your stories and talk about your statriotism. What does that word mean to you when you hear it, LeRoy? Statriotism of Wisconsin.
It really makes me feel good because I think sometimes people think the Midwest don't have it going on, but I will let you know something. State of Wisconsin, not only do we have Giannis, MVP, I mean, they won a championship first time in 50 years, okay? We have Yelich, MVP, with the Brewers who are in first place.
Yeah, they're in the playoffs. That's all that counts. They're going to the playoffs.
Right. And Aaron Rodgers, multi MVP. So this state really has a lot. That's why me partnering with the dairy farmers and Wisconsin cheese, because I have the best mac and cheese in America, okay? So I said to myself, who would take that to another level? The state of Wisconsin. I'm just so proud to be here. I really am. It's just so great. It really is, because people just really support you. And when I heard y'all doing the Inside Wisconsin and we got John on, I said, I'm finally somebody has a show dedicated to Wisconsin. And I saw Brian Anderson, who I love and I think he's the best. I mean, you guys, if without your platform, it'd be hard for people to know how much we love it here and really to let the fans know that we're here with you. We're a part of the fabric of this great state, and we do a lot for people. And I think that I'm just so thrilled to be here because I can always vacation in Florida or wherever.
Right.
But to me, the best state is Wisconsin.
I'm for certain not going to make light of the bullying thing, but you touched on these guys MVPs. Aaron Rodgers has got a lot of MVPs. He's done 13 years of starting quarterback. And after the Saints game, he got bullied. I don't know if you can ever bring that upon yourself. I get the rough off season. I have tried not to defend his performance. He was terrible in the first week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find anybody on the team that was not terrible that first week. It's okay. I'm trying to convince people I don't think that terribleness had anything to do with the offseason. I may be wrong. But I think to just go, he stunk, he deserves it because he did this in the offseason, I'm not sure that's the right through line. I think maybe he just was bad and the rest of the team was bad. He got to touch the ball for about 18 plays in the first half. I just your take on let's just that little vacuum. We're just going to concentrate week one.
No, it's
what you saw and what your impressions were there.
It's important, John, because that's what players are talking about with mental illness in a way. And this is how I tie it in. say you have a disagreement with your wife, your significant other, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or maybe you got a nice white dress on, and then you go somewhere and a guy spills wine on you, or say your dog is, you tell your kid don't give him bread, but they give him bread. All that's going on in your head. Now step up and make 2 free throws. It's hard. Step up and play a game that you really got a lot going on. See, society don't really have to deal with that. Players have to deal with what society does and not go play a game.
Mm-hmm.
So players got to understand that don't even look at social media when you play bad. Only look at it when you play good. But I just want fans to know sometimes we have to give a guy some space to figure it out. And I get it. And it's just like, he had a lot going on. He really did have a lot going on because he's trying to understand. I'm not saying I want to be GM, okay? But it would be like if Trevor and me put the show together and didn't tell you, but you're the headline. You're like, well, wait a minute. Why wouldn't y'all text me and let me know what the topics are? Well, you're good enough to just, whatever the topic is, to talk about it. Well, no, can we have a group thing? The show would probably be better. He's not trying to be the GM and get Gutekunst fired and all that. But for the most part, everything is fine. But I think the good thing about it, Aaron said he played bad. So he'll give people space enough to feel that way. And then, then you could break down the X's and O's of it. And it's not really spin. I just want people to know that this is probably the last time he's going to play. So when he texts out or releases him and Devontae about the last dance, people feel a type of a way about that kind of smoke. You don't need that kind of smoke.
I have 2 stories I'd like you to tell, because I don't know that Trevor's heard either one of them, because he's not old enough to remember these kind of things, but they're important. So first off, you talked about the great coach Bobby Bowden, who we lost recently, and is such a good man, and so many things he did, both in Tallahassee and when he was in West Virginia and Morgantown. But tell Trevor about the Punterooski when Florida State played Clemson, but tell him why it set up a game-winning field goal.
Well, 2 things. We were doing this fake punt, Trevor, and we were saving it for Florida at the end of the year because that's rivalry weekend. But we're playing Clemson. They were top 5 teams, so were we. We were in Death Valley. Burt Reynolds bought us some new uniforms, all white.
Yeah.
It was raining, so the field was terrible. And we kept practicing this fake punt, and in practice, it never worked. So I'm like, we're never going to run it, So I remember I think it was 3rd down. Chip Ferguson, our quarterback, got hit. He threw a pass, and the guy, it's a lollipop. I mean, all he had to do was catch it. The game's over. He dropped it. So it's 4th down, and as I'm running on the field, because I was always on the punt team, Coach Bowden said, cover his mark, he said, run it. I said, what? He said, run it. I said, are you serious? Yeah. So I'm running out there. I told, it was like a key word. I forgot the word, but I told the punter, run it. And people were like, and whatever that word was, Dane Williams, he was the up, like he told everybody the word, so we're going to run it. Everybody was shocked because we were like on our own 18. So we snapped the ball. He gets it to Dane Williams. He puts it in my legs, Trevor, and I'm sitting there. And the plan was for me to wait like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, something like that. But I got to like 1.5, and I saw this guy from Clemson. He saw me. So I take off running, and I'm not the fastest. So I'm running, and I said, okay, I got the first down. Yay! That's, whoa, they don't see me. And I'm running. I said, uh-oh. Donnell Woolford, the all-American cornerback, he's the punt returner. He's sitting there like, where? Because the punter jumped as if the ball went over his head. So the crowd was screaming like, oh, we won the game. And you could just see Danny Ford's face like, oh, my God, what is going? Get the guy. And I'm running. And, Trevor, I got about the 35, right? And they said it was a monkey on your back. I said, no, it was a gorilla. I mean, you could not even see my name. My head was all the way back, and I'm running, and I'm running. And I didn't have like the athletic ability to like jump like these guys do now. And I got knocked out like at the 3. And I remember Richie Andrews, who actually is in Wisconsin. And I remember telling him that he's a kicker. I said, please don't miss. He makes the field goal, and I was everywhere on Sports Center. I remember Beano Cook says the best play since My Fair Lady. That's the best quote of all time. And everybody knew who I was. It was great. And I remember meeting with the media. I never met with the media before. John, I don't know if I told you this story. So they come up to me and they're asking me all these questions about the play. And somebody said, did you have butterflies? I said, no, I had pterodactyls. Now go try to figure out how to spell that.
He got caught at the 3.
Oh.
I'm slow. I'm not a Deion's the speed guy and Terrell Buckley.
Terrell Buckley.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be the hero. I just want to be a part of the story.
That's it. You're just you're here to rate. You're bringing people along with you. That's what we're trying to
do. Is the hero.
Robert Novak says, you want to bring people along with you. That's what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
The other thing I want Trevor to know, tell him about when your rookie year and you drove your car into the ditch or whatever. What kind of car did you have?
I had a classic Nissan 300Z T-top, the way you take the tops out of it. And I'm second round pick. I'm riding down 41. I mean, come on, cool, right? It was like December, and all of a sudden this stuff started coming out that I've never seen before. I heard about it. I seen it on the Hallmark channels, but I never seen it. And it started snowing. So I'm saying it was no big deal. I'm just driving. And Trevor, the ice and snow started to gather on my tires. And no one told me how to put on brakes in snow. I slam on brakes. I'm doing a 360 into the ditch. And this one I knew I wanted to be in Wisconsin my whole life. I bet you 7 cars stopped to help me. Anywhere else, they just drive by. That idiot in a Z, he deserves it. And I remember the guy, he's pulling out the car with a tow truck. He says, sir, you might want to get your SUV 4x4. I had no idea what a 4x4 was. 4-wheel drive? No. I'm from Florida. It's rear-wheel drive, and it's a classic. He said, it's classic junk up here. I got rid of it and got my SUV.
And now here you are today, as Wisconsin as it gets.
What are you driving right now?
Oh, Ford. I'm a Ford Lincoln guy. I had my own dealership up in Wapaka for about 4 or 5 years. So my wife has a Lincoln Aviator. She got that nice car.
Sure.
And I have a Lincoln MKT as in Tom. I love Ford. I'm a Ford Lincoln guy.
No. I promise you there are a lot of people grinning ear to ear listening to these stories. We'll wrap it up with LeRoy Butler. After this, we are Inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, and North Star Mohican Casino Resort.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
We are back inside Wisconsin. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, and LeRoy Butler of Lambeau Leap fame. LeRoy, thanks for joining us. All right, it's lightning round. Okay. I get a couple questions here, and then John pummels you, and then we wrap. That's really how this goes.
In with my friend. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Hey, Super Bowl 31, right? It's the ring that you wear proudly. Tell us a story about you winning the Super Bowl with your teammates, who we all know very well, that maybe hasn't been told before. Give us something good from Super Bowl 31.
It was amazing. It really was. I mean, I remember beating Carolina, and it was like I saw a sign say 30 years of misery has ended. We're going to the Super Bowl. I say 30 years. Wow. Matter of fact, it's the anniversary this year, that we've done it. So this is a big year for our alumni weekend, October 1st weekend. It's alumni. This is like the big deal. So I just remember I didn't like roommates. I always had room by myself, and they was like, well, we're gonna go to this other hotel that's smaller, so you have a roommate, and my roommate was my brother Edgar Bennett. So Edgar Bennett was, different because you with a roommate, things different, but for us it was about the heat and the cooling. I like it a little bit warmer. He likes it a little bit colder. So every hour he would get up and put it down to like 64. So I mean, you can hang meat in our room. I smoke. I get up 77. He wake up in his sleep 63. I get up 80. And we did it all night before the game. And it was so funny. We were telling people, and he didn't realize I was doing it. He thought the thermostat was broken. He calls down. Hey, can y'all get somebody to come fix the thermostat? It just keep going back up to 80. And the lady say, sir, you're too late. Your roommate already called, says it's too cold. It's him messing with it.
Thermostat wars.
The night before the Super Bowl.
Yes. We didn't get any sleep. And we realized, because I didn't realize he was doing it either. And she said, yeah, because it's climate control, blah, blah, blah. And it was just so funny. We laughed about it. We told all the guys about it.
All right, last one for me. So you've been in Wisconsin when the Packers won another Super Bowl. Yep. You've been here in Wisconsin when the Bucks won a championship. How incredible would it be for a Brewers World Series victory?
Oh, my goodness. I can already see the route because where American Family is like right on the outskirts of downtown. And that area is an amazing area. And it would be, because it's right by a highway. It'll be people all up on the highway. It will be shut down. I mean, because the Bucks it was downtown. You got 65,000 people, but the Bucks won one. The Brewers have never won one, so the entire state will be like you've never seen before. But you will see people standing on trucks and cars, all on the outskirts of downtown, or Miller Park Way. It'll be people from all directions. Because where the stadiums sit, you got like a highway going right past it. It will be amazing. And I'll be happy for the Ryan Brauns. Congratulations on Ryan Braun. He retired after 14 years. Those guys, the 82 guys, they got a parade, but they didn't actually win it. But it'll be amazing. It really would be amazing.
Trevor requires in his speed round, he goes for long answers. I'm quick hitters. This is it. Boom. I want to get through the drill.
Two good ones, though.
Give me the meanest SOB you played with.
Oh, Wayne Simmons. I think he actually eat iron. Wayne Simmons.
Okay.
Mean.
Who's the cheapest dude you played with?
Brett Favre. He still owes me like $11. He played me, Eugene Robinson, and Tyrone Williams best ball in golf.
Yeah.
$1 a hole. And we beat him. And he was like, I got to go to the ATM, but he didn't have a card. And we had to get him some gas. I mean, the guy, I'm like, and he made $100 million because he always expect to win.
Right.
So he didn't bring any money. So, yeah, he probably cheapest. Yeah.
All right. There you go. Just toughest. Just a guy that you couldn't get off the field.
Well, I'd say Brady never missed a game. And one time he had a broken thumb. And I never thought in my wildest dream he would be able to play there.
Smartest dude.
Ooh, George Kuntz.
Good. Now these are just some dudes. I want to know. You played with Mark Murphy.
Oh yeah,
not that Mark Murphy.
Yeah, not the president. Yeah, yeah. Mark Murphy he's actually the guy that taught me really the professionalism about Wisconsin and your teammates. So I learned a lot from him. He was great.
Tony Mandridge.
Tony was a great guy. He let me borrow his truck to move stuff. And so I appreciate that. He was like, just take my truck. So this is like the top pick. And he gave me hey, go use my truck to move stuff. It was awesome.
Who's at the door, you think?
Oh, that's just my son. Yeah, he's fine. He's out there with my dad.
All right, real
That's
quick.
awesome.
Give me something about Desmond.
He's the man. Without Desmond, I wouldn't have a Super Bowl ring, because we heard all these narratives that they wouldn't let him play wide receiver. He would do this. Desmond Howard was the man, and he was a Super Bowl MVP. Without him, no one would have a ring. He carried us through the playoffs all the way to the Super Bowl.
Have you ever hit a deer?
Yes, but it wasn't my fault. But guess what? The deer gets up and run away.
Okay, so we're all right then.
Yeah, it was fine.
All right, last one. People know a lot about Mike Holmgren, who you played for. People know a ton about Bobby Bowden, who you played for.
Yeah.
Give me something quick that you take every day, still at age 53, from Corky Rogers, who coached your high school team and is a legend in Florida.
Love your teammates, and you play for the guy next to you. Be very unselfish. It's not about you. It's about the team. Without the team, it will not work. I'll never forget that. And I still use it, apply it to life too.
LeRoy Butler, you are terrific. First off, take a wide shot. Not only were you a great player, and Steve Young always said you were in the right place, your product placement is fantastic. So I want to compliment you on your product placement. That was great. And I hope people don't forget, because I know I don't. We talk about the three people that transformed the franchise that came in, and it was Brett, and it was Reggie, and it was you. But we traded for Brett. Reggie picked us. You were there first.
Yep.
And we never forget that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because they all joined me.
Yep.
I was there. We were 6-10, 4-12. And things, so I saw when it was bad, and then all of a sudden it got better. And it's been better ever since. So thanks.
It has been. And we thank you for that. And we thank you for being with us here on Inside Wisconsin.
Thank you so much. Remember, part 2 now when I get in the Hall of Fame. We'll do a part 2.
Please.
Done. Here first. We'll see you then.
Yeah. Yes. This will be the first show I go on once I make it.
Well, good news. We're recording that, and we'll hold you to it. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it.
Shut up and sit down.
Listen, if I took a vote, I don't like LeRoy Butler any less after this hour of chatting with him than I did before.
He's one of us. It's so cool to hear the stories of him becoming a Wisconsin Statriot, right? Grew up in Florida, Florida State, went to high school in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Now driving a Trans Am in the snow here in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But a first-class guy. And I told him when he asked me to be his presenter, I said, I'll do this, because I said, I'm pretty sure you're going to need someone more important when you go to Canton. And I think that's going to happen. I don't know how it hasn't already. I think ultimately he is the next guy that's in the Hall of Fame for the Green Bay Packers.
I think so too. And you heard him say it. He promised to announce that news, or maybe this was the first show that he's going to come on after he gets that call to Canton.
So much of that success that we still ride today starts on the back of Brett, Reggie, and LeRoy. When they
that.
Through.
2 out of those 3 names.
36. Good one.
Yeah. Amen. Hey, all right. Speaking of good one, you, the fans, we love your feedback, all the comments and the posts that we make on social media. Remember, you can email us. Our information is there on the website at InsideWisconsin.com. And we've gotten some emails, J.A. People have noticed all the bobbleheads and stuff behind me. And in this view right here, you can see the poster that you have up on the wall, your stock for the Packers, and a doll. You have to tell us the story about whatever that doll is over, I think it's your left shoulder, because people have noticed. What the hell is that thing?
I guess technically he's a doll.
Yeah, doll.
Can you tell now what he is?
It appears to be a pretzel doll.
Nabisco. It's Mr. Salty.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's my Mr. Salty doll.
Why do you have a Mr. Salty doll on your set?
He dates back to 1983, my senior year in high school, which, by the way, look, he's missing. His mouth has fallen off. I've had to draw on his nose, and he's got one original eye. So this is Mr. This guy turned out, he was my good luck charm, or my, whatever you want to call it, my talisman that I needed every time when I high jumped, which I really mostly did for about 2 weeks at the end of my junior year. And then my whole senior year, and I had a really remarkable year. I don't want to oversell it, but it was crazy. I went from literally coming off a tennis court with 2 weeks left in the season as a junior, to the next year having the second best jump in the entire state, which is ridiculous.
All because of Mr. Salty.
Sort of. So we had a guy on our team, God bless him, Greg Plinska, all right, AKA Pins, because this is about how Greg Plinska at the time was built, right? 6'6", and probably at times thin enough to fall through a sewer grate. Really good basketball player, Pins was. And I still think taught for years in Seymour. Mr. Plinska had one of the great record album collections you'll ever want to listen to, both first generation rock and roll and the blues. So he was fantastic, but he was just a great guy. And so one time we went to some meet and we were eating pretzels, Mr. Salty pretzels, and we went, oh my God, look at this. This looks like Greg Plinska. So hence, and we had a good meet and I jumped really high. So Mr. Salty kind of became my guy. And then we would cut him off the box tops, and over the Trojan on our my sweats, we'd tape Mr. Salty. Then if you had like 4 box tops back when you could do that and $1.99, they sent you a Mr. Salty doll. So I kept with him the whole time and I had a pretty good year. So I took him with me down to college. And I just kept in my shoe bag, right? I had a separate bag for my high jump shoes, and Mr. Salty was in there at every single meet. Always had Mr. Salty with me. So he was my good luck charm. He's with me all the time. And until I set this little setup here behind me, he literally sat next to my phone in my office at ESPN. Like, I've never been without this dude. There's a guy that coached Missouri's women's track team and then the men's eventually for umpteen years, 25 years. And he talked about people who have kind of superstitions or just things that relax them. And he's like, we had this dude who had a Mr. Salty doll and he carried it with him all the time. I went and spoke at the Wisconsin Track Coaches Association 5 years ago, whatever, big, huge. It was down outside of Madison, thousands of coaches. And Coach McGuire was there because he has spoken as a clinician all the time. So I was giving this keynote address. And about halfway through, and I was talking about how significant Coach McGuire had been in my life. He really has been, as coaches are so many times, right? I've kept a communication with Coach McGuire since 83, and I showed up on campus at Mizzou. And I looked at him and I said, and Coach, if you're wondering, and I reached down underneath the podium and I pulled him, I said, oh yeah, he's here. I don't go anywhere without Mr. Salty when it's really important. Cool. So, and I'll tell you this last thing, one day, because people realized it was a stupid thing and he was just in there. And I came out for practice one day and somebody had taken my shoe bag, and I looked up and he was about 19 feet in the air hanging from a pole vault standard that people just to screw with me had taken my Mr. Salty. And they wrapped him up and they kind of held him hostage and they had him tied to the pole vault bar. Then it was raised up 19 feet in the air. So I had to rescue Mr. Salty. That's as close as we've ever come to having, a real issue with him. Otherwise it's just years of wear and tear. So that's my guy, Mr. Salty, who is, like I said, he's with me forever, but he is he is rooted in the great state of Wisconsin, and a great friend and a great former teammate of mine, Greg Plinska.
Good stuff.
A lot of people know Plinny.
I knew there was a Wisconsin tie. There had to have been a Wisconsin tie. He's on the set of Inside Wisconsin. That's good stuff.
There he is. He's a man. He's it.
J.A., people are digging this, man. I am super grateful that you're along for this ride, as are all of you. I don't know if you saw, Johnny, but that announcement with Brian Anderson went viral. That's about as viral as you and I have gotten on Inside Wisconsin thus far. Over 500,000 people viewed that announcement from BA. Wisconsin.
That's about him, right? That's more about him than the other.
That's all right.
What? By the way, last thing I'll say, because they have a new Lisa Byington was named the play-by-play voice of the Milwaukee Bucks, and a groundbreaking hire, which is fantastic. What I need to know now, because they say that I think they're keeping Marcus Johnson, but doesn't everybody have to have an analyst named Rock?
Yeah, you're required.
Right, because Wayne Larravee's with McCarron, who is The Rock. And Brian Anderson is with Rock. So Rock. I don't know if Marcus Johnson's going to, with the new thing, but we should somehow start a campaign to just start because, basketball Rock, it could work somewhere.
Maybe Mr. Salty. We'll ship.
This is what I got. Sit there. Give them the sign off. People need to get on with their day.
We love you. Keep sharing, keep commenting, keep liking, and of course, subscribe here on YouTube. For John, it's Trevor. Until next time, as you were, Wisconsin. Man, the Ryder Cup was awesome.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, and North Star Mohican Casino Resort.
Shut up and sit down.